Well, hello there. You're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. Coming up then, we'll see what's making the headlines with the columnist Carole Malone and the Liverpool Echo's political editor Liam Thorp. As ever, great to see you. Front pages then. According to The Telegraph, the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, is encouraging people to return to the office when work-for-home rules change on July the 19th. The Metro looks ahead to England's appearance in the Euros final on Sunday, declaring it's the final countdown. Fever pitch, says the Mirror, as fans call for a bank holiday Monday if England win. With its tongue firmly in cheek over England's Italian opponents, the Star asks, what have the Romans ever done for us? And then lists many things they have done for us. The Guardian leads with the relaxing of quarantine rules and how 100 countries will soon be open for holidaymakers from England to visit once again. The Daily Mail leading on the COVID-19 app and how a redesign could spare thousands from isolation. Whereas The Express leads on Rishi Sunak's pensions promise and how a pension rise could be under threat. The Times leads with possible plans within Whitehall and how some families could receive a payout to offset green energy bills. While the Financial Times reporting that the European Central Bank has set an inflation target of 2% to try to allow governments to keep interest rates low. So, Carole Malone and Liam Thorp. Liam, better kick off for you. I think you've just recovered, or maybe you still haven't. Who knows? But quite a night and another one to look forward to.
Yeah, a little bit of a sore head today. I'm sure I wasn't the only one. After obviously a real sort of nail biter of a match last night. I just think that at this time in the country, when obviously like other countries, you know, people have been through so much, it is just so nice to have something to celebrate. And I think this team particularly, you know, it's a team full of young, really sort of decent young men who are not afraid to stand up for what they believe in. They're an exciting young bunch of players, and let's be honest, they're led by a really decent fella in Gareth Southgate, who I think everyone is now sort of turning to kind of lead the nation. And yeah, I think it's an amazing kind of collective moment, which we probably haven't had in this country for a while, maybe since 2012. And it feels like, you know, there is a kind of collective spirit and people just feeling like they can actually celebrate something after such a tough time. So bring it on. I think they've done everything they can. It's going to be a really, really tough game on Sunday, but I think they've already made a huge success of it. Yes,
it's interesting you related to the London Olympics in 2012 when we've had the news of the Tokyo Olympics today, but perhaps we'll come on to that. Certainly we had Steve McLaren on today, who was Middlesbrough manager when Gareth Southgate was captain there, and said he led by example. He was first in. You know, he always celebrated calmly, as we have seen him done now. But leading from the front, do you reckon, Carole, how much can be attributed to him?
Oh, I think a huge amount can be attributed to him. I mean, everyone, what I know about football could be written on the back of a football stamp. But the bottom line is I was listening to all the pundits last night, and they're just saying that this guy is the first guy in many, many years to pull the team together, that they looked like a very confident team last night, whereas in past years they haven't. They've gone on kind of expecting to lose. And just to listen to the team and all the run-up to the matches, they didn't expect to lose this year. They expected to win, and they have. And I think Liam put his finger on it there. You know, Gareth Southgate is a really lovely fella, and I think, you know, he is respected because of that. He's respected because of his talent and his ability to make people work together. And, you know, I mean, I was kind of watching it last night. I missed the first half because I was on a motorway trying to get back from somewhere. The motorway, by the way, which was totally empty. It was the best run I've ever had because everyone was watching the footy. And it was just really edge-of-your-seat stuff, you know. I mean, I was kind of, you know, I'm not a big football fan. I wanted England to win, but once you start watching, it's like they had us sweating right until the very end. And then, of course, there's all the controversy today about Schmeichel having this laser thing shone in his eyeball, which kind of taints, I think, this incredible event, because everyone is talking about that today. UEFA has laid a charge against against England for this, and I just think it's such a shame, because, you know, we should just be talking about the win and not this kind of tainted thing where the goalkeeper may have been distracted by this laser, which is like, they're a menace and they've been used in lots of sports. I mean, there was a guy jailed last year who used one on an aircraft. They're very dangerous things.
Yeah,
but it's just a shame it had to happen on the back of this.
Yeah, I mean, most people have, completely reiterated that today too. But it was the booze as well, wasn't it, Liam? Fireworks in the ground, even the pictures on the front page of the Daily Mirror, fans climbing on a double-decker bus, which is all hijinks and enthusiasm, no doubt. But there were certainly some police down there to try and prevent that a bit later on. But do you think the FA needs to come out and say, let's play fair, let's play nicely, and let's, be well-behaved now?
I think so, yeah. I mean, there is always a number of people who, will try and kind of ruin it for everyone else. I have to say, I find the booing of our own players and the booing of opposition's national anthems utterly deplorable. You've got to, this is supposed to be a game of respect where everyone respects one another. So I really find that difficult, and there's just no need for it at all. We should be getting behind, yes, our team, but we should be treating the other team with total respect as well. And the shining of the laser pen is, as Carole says, it just mars things a bit. We've heard some reports of Danish fans being abused as well, and it's just disgraceful, really. When as
he's frozen. You
optimistic and positive that there has to be.
Yes, I talked over you because you briefly froze, but you're back. The Metro talks about the final countdown. In fact, the Mirror also talks about millions of fans to make it a £3 billion biggest party weekend ever. It does feel like, for many, the pandemic is over, despite the rising cases, Carole. Is it just a sign that people have had enough, or what?
I think they have, yeah. And I mean, there is no question that the infection count is going to go up next week. I mean, I read a story today saying there's lots more men becoming infected now than women, and they think it's because of the football, because a lot of men have gone to the games. And there will undoubtedly be more infections next week, and there'll be people asking, was it worth it? Is football more important than COVID infections? And I think a lot of people in this country currently would say, yes, it is. And as we saw last night, no one was wearing a mask. No one was social distancing. That's probably because of the amount of booze that was taken. But, you can see why some people might be a bit hacked off at this, where, you can't go to see your kids at their school sports day. You can't have too many people going to visit a relative at a care home. But you can have thousands and thousands lining our streets in the capital city without protection. So you can see why some people might be upset at that.
Yes, perhaps less the games and more the meetups, the gatherings to watch the match, which obviously will continue. Daily Star, you've picked two. What have the Romans ever done for us? And it proves to be quite a long list, as we said. I was just thinking pizza, but oh no.
Me too.
Aqueducts, sanitation, roads, irrigation. I mean, the Romans, obviously, they, had a major impact, did they not? But it just shows they're going to be tough. Their unbroken record of wins is slightly daunting, isn't it, Liam?
Yeah, I think is it 43 now, I think? And of course, they didn't qualify for the World Cup. Mancini, the manager, has really pulled off something of a miracle with the way that he's turned that side around. And I think there's some similarities when you look at England and the Italians. They, as Carole said before, they really are a team who are all playing for each other, and there's not loads of kind of egos in there, which have been in the case with both Italy and England before. This is a young team that are really playing for each other. So I don't think England are favourites going into it. I think it should be a brilliant game. But as I said before, I think what Southgate and his team have done already is enough to kind of really boost the country. And
it's at home, isn't it? We know about home games. Everyone talks about Euro 96, but also 1966, which sort of has loomed over all of us for years of football watching. More of a nightmare and a joyous thing. It's a sort of shackle to get rid of, and really people need to talk about something else, don't they, Carole? Now that's one reason to win.
But I kind of worry what's going to happen on Monday if we lose. This kind of fervour, this kind of excitement we haven't seen in this country for a very long time, and I kind of worry a bit. I mean, I don't think Boris is going to give us a bank holiday, because he actually said today he didn't want to jinx it by making it a bank holiday, and he's just hoping employers will be a little bit, lax. And a lot of employers are now saying people can come in 2 or 3 hours late. But what is the level of disappointment going to be? We saw the level of excitement excitement yesterday. What's it going to be like if we lose on Sunday, man? It's going to be worse than it would normally be if we lost something, because this seems to be about so much more than football. It's a kind of release for everyone. And I kind of worry a bit what's going to happen on Sunday if we lose.
Yes, what is it? 287,000 people have now signed that petition asking for... Is he frozen? Hello, Liam. Oh, he's gone.
How's he gone?
We can't tell. He's so still. That's because he's a little bit
Do you know,
tired.
that's really bad news, because he's the only one that knows what he's talking about here.
Well,
so it's really bad
Luckily,
news.
we're going to a
He's
break
not
and we can
there.
talk about other matters. Anyway, 287,000 people have signed this petition, Carole, asking for that
Yes.
bank holiday. But as you said, the Prime
Well,
Minister,
no,
very
we
unlikely
can't get it.
to jinx it. Indeed so.
Yeah. Yes,
Carole-
I mean, we won't get it, nor should we really. But if people have got a bank holiday and they're upset and disappointed, imagine what's going to happen on Monday if people have got the whole day to get cross. Doesn't bear thinking about.
Well, we know Liam told us earlier he's already booked a half day. He's either optimistic or just hopeful. We'll find out when he comes back. We'll see.
No,
Carole,
we can say now, because he looks a bit rough, actually. He looks hungover.
We can talk about him now. We haven't got him, poor lad.
Yeah,
Carole, we'll
exactly.
see you later. Liam too. Coming up, though, changes are coming to self-isolation rules, but is the app too sensitive? We'll discuss that next. Well, welcome back. You're watching the press preview with me now, Carole Malone and Liam Thorp. Welcome back to both of you. Question, we have rising cases. That means more people are pinged, which means eventually if cases continue to rise, many people will not be at work. Q, what do you do about it? Liam, Daily Mail, thousands are spared isolation madness. What are they suggesting?
So we saw Rishi Sunak actually today speaking in the media saying that what they are looking at is a sort of refinement of the COVID app, which would take into account, for example, that if people who've been double vaccinated, which wouldn't be, I think they said, as sensitive, so you wouldn't have quite as many people being pinged, because there was one prediction that it could be up to 3.5 million people because of, obviously, the rates are still soaring. So the government is keen to avoid the massive disruption that will cause. Obviously, there's a bit of a kind of chaotic element to this because this isn't going to happen until mid-August, for example, and obviously when some of the rules are changing in July the 19th. So what you are seeing is people, which is not being advised, of course, is they're just turning the app off because they don't want to get pinged, because obviously it could have a huge impact as well on people's working lives, on the NHS itself. So, yeah, they're trying to look at ways to refine the app, but I don't think it's going to happen straight away.
Yes, and our Deputy Political Editor, Sam Coates, reporting tonight that there is apparently modelling under the previous Health Secretary, which shows at this level, basic things start to falter. The transportation network, the health service, for example, with the numbers of people who are going off. But Carole, why do we think about fiddling with the app and making it less sensitive rather than fiddling with the policy and suggesting rising cases is not necessarily a good thing for this country?
Well, because the app says you have to isolate for 10 days, and very often it's healthy people with no symptoms who've been double jabbed who are isolating for 10 days, which is a nonsense. You know, currently the NHS has a fifth of its entire staff off who are isolating. You know, currently, before what's happening here, we could have 1 million people isolating at home just now. It's crazy. We've got kids who've missed 1 billion days of school with isolating needlessly. It's crazy. And, you know, people are deleting their apps. There was a story in the papers today saying that even NHS staff are deleting their apps because they don't want to be off work. And there's a move to have doctors and nurses exempted from isolation even until August the 16th altogether, because, you know, these guys can be, a lot of these guys have already had it, they're double jabbed, they can be tested in hospital. Why send them home for 10 days when hospitals are crippled, not with COVID patients, but with just lack of staff? It's crazy.
Test and release is what some people are suggesting would be better, a bit more like the travel arrangements, which takes us inside the metro. This is Dido Harding defending what this paper quotes as the successful £37 billion test and trace programme. Many people, of course, think it's just tracing and forget the huge cost of our testing programme. 1.2 million tests carried out yesterday alone on new coronavirus cases. What is the defence then, do you think, for this money? Is it the huge number, 217 million tests in total that the UK has now carried out.
But if you're not tracing the contacts once you've done the tests, then it sort of defies the point of it. I thought it was interesting that Dido Harding is probably the only person who could hail this, complete failure, in my opinion, of the test and trace system as a success. And I think there'll be quite a few people sort of scoffing at her comments to the select committee. Look, £37 billion, I think it's widely regarded as a failure, and it has been heavily criticised for not curtailing the spread of the virus, which is exactly what it was designed to do. The number of contacts that have been missed is massive. And as I say, yes, there is one section to it, which is a massive cost for the testing process, which, by the way, was failing at the start. But once you get that up and running, if you're not then tracing the contacts successfully, then it defies the point.
But I suppose in defence of the system, who knows how Public Health England, with its nice local knocking on doors, would have scaled up with the number of cases we've seen in the various waves that we have had. Carole, will never know that, I guess.
No, we won't. But can I just, I'd like to chip in on Dido Harding too. I mean, this woman today sat there and said she was proud of the work she'd done.
Quickly, Carole.
Sorry?
Quickly.
Oh, she's had catastrophic failures in the private and public sector, and we should be really scared because she now wants to be head of the NHS. God, the fact that she's being considered is terrifying at the time of a global pandemic.